So guys, another bad day for Avery. Subhanallah, it's really funny how things turns out. This guy, I don't even know this brother, and then he had a debate with Avery, and the guy was really cooking. So this brother quoted a verse from John chapter 5, verse 44, and I'm pretty sure Avery has never seen this verse before. You can clearly see that on his face. He was shocked that the verse reads the way it reads. The Pharisees, the Jews, are seeking glory from other than the only God. No, and the brother said Jesus is referring to God the Father. So if God the Father is the only God, then how come you believe Jesus also is God? And every does what he knows how to do best. He take the brother out at the end of the day. So you will be watching the video, but at the end of the video I will show you the context to that verse and what scholars said about that verse and what even your church fathers say about the verse. And we get to see if Avery is truly sincere or Avery is just another joke one shouldn't take seriously. So let's get into it. And before that, don't forget to like and share this video, and most importantly, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, for we hope to get to 100,000 subscribers before the end of the year, and I believe we can do that. And if you want to support the channel, link will be in the description. So let's get started.
So can I present my objection?
Sure. What's your objection?
Okay, is each person of the Trinity God?
Before we do this,
Yeah.
Do you already know what I believe as a Christian? I in the Trinity.
Yeah, the Trinity. Each person of the Trinity is God, but they're one essence.
They're one essence, three distinct persons. So get straight to your objection. Let's.
Okay, so getting straight to my objection that the three persons could not be the same true God, and the three persons could not be equally God if only one person of the Trinity is God. Like John chapter 5, verse 44, Jesus calls the Father explicitly the one and only God. So they could not be, each person could not be God if the Father is the one and only God.
You said John 5:44?
Yeah, John 5:44.
What does it say?
How can you believe when you accept glory from one another and not seek glory from the one and only God? The New Revised Standard Version, it translates this,
Hold
and do not... Alright, sure.
Slowly.
Yeah.
He says, talking to the people, that you seek glory from men, but not from the one and only God.
Yeah.
And where does this negate Jesus as being God?
Yeah, because he calls the Father the one and only God.
How does that negate Jesus being God as well?
Yeah, because the Father could not be alone God, because if he is alone God, then that actually removes the other two persons.
It doesn't say that the Father alone is God.
No, actually it does say in the Greek, monon. Yeah, monon, which means alone, only.
Wait. Hold on a second. Only what is the only? Is it
okay, wait a second. Okay. So actually, the masculine singular adjective, which is monon, is lexically defined in page 739 in the Greek English lexicon of the New Testament as the only entity in a class, only one.
What's your name?
No, I'm Muhammad. My name is Muhammad.
Muhammad, hold on. I need you to listen to what I'm asking.
Okay.
What does the word only say? Is it saying that only the Father is God, or?
Yes, only the Father is God. Because if he's the one only God, okay, you're referring to the Father.
Let me read this again. How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek glory that comes from the only God?
Okay.
Where does it say that the Father alone is God?
Yeah, because the Greek word monon actually means alone.
Yeah, what is alone? What's alone? Is it the Father that's alone, or is it God?
Alone, yeah. The Father. You go to the context, you would understand that he was referring to the Father.
Just specifically here, it says only God, not that the Father alone.
No. Read the context. Read the context.
I am.
Yeah, you could go one verse early. Yeah, he was referring to the God. Yeah.
My friend RD, or FD, sorry, I'm Muhammad.
Yeah.
Talking about the word that you brought, you tried to make an argument that the word only here is, or Jesus says that the Father alone is God.
Yes, because according to the context.
Please hold on a second.
Yeah.
He doesn't say that the Father alone is God. Is that clear? Can we agree there? Because we can't.
No, it does. No, it does. No. According to the context, the Father alone is God.
Let me just do this really quick.
All right.
It's on the screen.
Okay.
Here we go. It's on the screen. Now I'm about to highlight it. How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes from the only God, or the Father alone who is God? What does it say? Does it say the only God?
Actually, no, according to the context, he was speaking about the Father. So then when he refers to God,
or does it say only the Father is God?
No, actually, according to the context, he's actually referring to the Father. Okay, look. Okay.
I'm giving you a chance.
Mm-hmm.
I'm giving you a chance.
All right.
You really wanted to bring your objection? I'm giving you a chance to be honest with the text.
Yeah, okay. Okay, so look, I came... Mm-hmm.
Does it say that Jesus says that only the Father is God? Or does it say where it has only modifying God.
No, look, my argument is that according to the context, he's referring to
know
the
what the
Father.
argument
Okay,
is.
look, I'll give you this. Okay, hold on. I'll tell you something. I'll give you this for the sake of an argument, and I'm gonna
Tell me
change
it's
the
not an
verse to.
argument.
Okay, look, all right, sure. Okay, I'll grant you this. I'll grant you this.
But I don't need a granting. I need to know if you could be honest with the text.
All right.
Does it say only God, or does it say the Father alone is God?
Yeah, according to the context, it's the Father who's the one and only.
So as you can see, guys, he kicked him out, and Avery does, like I said, Avery does what he knows how to do best. When he realizes that you're more than him, then he kicks you out. He finds a reason that is not a reason to kick you out. So let's quickly go to the verse itself, John 5 verse 44, and see what it says. It says, "How can you believe when you receive glory from one another and do not seek the glory that comes from the only God?" So what is Jesus saying here? From this verse, we can deduce two things. Number one, we would see that Jesus was addressing the Jewish religious leaders, particularly the Pharisees and others who opposed him. The point Jesus was trying to make here is they care much about receiving praise and recognition from the people other than from God. And secondly, would see from this verse that Jesus was referring to the Father when you look at the context of chapter 5. Throughout chapter 5, Jesus was talking about how he was sent by the Father and how he came to do the Father's will. So definitely Jesus at that point, verse 44, was referring to the Father. So how do we know this? Is this just a guesswork or something? No, we would have to go to the commentaries of that verse 44, and we'll see what scholars of the Bible say. So first and foremost, we'll be looking at the Matthew Henry's commentary from 1706. This is about 300 years ago. He said, "They sought the honor that comes from men, not the honor that comes from God only, that is from God the Father." So Matthew Henry clearly says God the Father is what is meant here. And also when you look at some of the contemporary commentaries we have, it is also the same thing. For example, when you look at the D.A. Carson, the Pillar New Testament commentary from 1991, he said, "Jesus insists that the Jews prefer human praise to the approval that comes from the only God, that is, from his Father." So he clearly states here that the only God here means his Father. Okay, so if you're sincere, you're reading this, you don't need anyone to tell you that Jesus was referring to the Father. And also when you look at Greg S. Kinner, his commentary of the Gospel of John from 2003, he said, "They have sought human honor rather than the honor from the only God, the Father." And also when you look at Andres Kostenbaja, his exegetical commentary on the New Testament from 2004, he said their fundamental problem was that they sought praise from one another rather than from God the Father, the only one who could bestow glory. As you can see, it clearly states that God the Father is the only one that can bestow true glory. So not Jesus. And also we have Leon Morris, his New International Commentary on the Gospel of John from 1995. He said, "They are not seeking the honor that comes from the only God, the Father." So let's quickly look at what some of the church fathers said regarding this. First and foremost, we have Chrysostom, Homilies of the Gospel of John. He said, he calls the Father the only God, contrasting him with the honor which comes from men. And also we look at Cyril of Alexandria, the commentary on John, book 3. He said he charges them with preferring the praise of men to the glory from God, the Father. So as you can see, this church fathers clearly said the only God there refers to God the Father. And also when you look at some of the translations we have, for example, New English Translation, and then you look at the footnote of John chapter 5 verse 44, it says the phrase "the only God" refers to God the Father. As you can see the citations, you can go and research this yourself. And also when you look at the NIV Study Bible, you looked at the footnote of John chapter 5 verse 44, it says the approval of the only God, that is the Father, is contrasted with the approval of people. Avery doesn't know about this verse. He was only trying to cook up an excuse to kick this brother out. Maybe he wants to go and research this further, to cook up stories that can shift the argument from, Jesus calling God the Father the only God, just as we see in John 17:3, where he said, "This is eternal life, so they may know you as the only true God and Jesus Christ whom you have sent." So Jesus assumes the position of a prophet, of a messenger, then God the Father as the only true God. So here in this verse, we know Jesus was referring to God the Father without him mentioning God the Father. And the reason is when you look at the context, you know he was talking about God the Father and not the Holy Spirit. So also this verse, it is the same. But Avery understands that if he admits to the fact that Jesus was referring to God the Father, then it blows away his argument. So the only thing he can come up with is, how would I kick this brother out? And at the end of the day, he kicked him out, citing some dumb excuses that this brother has refused to remain on point, and this brother is just, going all over the places. And this is to Christians. Whoever takes this guy, Avery, seriously, I really don't know what to tell you. You've chosen a path of doom, because you want to remain a Christian and you're not open hearted. You don't want to research. You only rely on people to make you remain Christian. You're scared. You're scared of researching it yourself. Okay? You're scared of reading the Quran. And this is why they would say, never read the Quran. Just, have this argument, memorize one or two verses from the glorious Quran, and then you can tackle any Muslim. This is untrue. Take the Quran yourself, read the Quran, learn about Islam, and at the end of the day, you'd come out a Muslim. If you're sincere, you'd come out a Muslim, because the facts are there. So these I say, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I remain your brother Abdul. Catch you in the next one.